Welcome back to WCS America. For the last time today, we are getting ready for our final series between Jim and Hart. Perhaps not the series that people expected to see in this phase of the day, Nate, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, pretty interesting series we just had between Jim and Jaedong. Jim bringing out the 4 gate and what was like the basically sub 8-minute immortal timing. Like that's not a build you see. Like that's not something I've even seen before. But it worked.
A little bit of his own creation there, just not scouting, a super quick robo, still getting 2 immortals. It's like an in-betweener between the Zealot Immortal and the real Immortal Sentry. It's gonna hit slowed on the Zealot Immortal, but you have some force fields, and it's gonna hit a lot faster than the real Immortal Sentry, but you have a lot less force fields to work with. Either way, it was good enough for Jim, but right now he's gonna face this one matchup that has been holding him back for a while, his PVT. Nate, for some reason, and actually the reason is pretty obvious, a lot of Chinese Protoss players do not like or pretty much never ever go Storm against Terran. It's just they have to deal with quite a bit of latency, and they often feel that by the time they land good Storms, you know, the units are already somewhere else, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. We'll see if Jim is going to surprise us and make Storm today, or if Hart is going to have a Terran's dream and play against Protoss without a single Storm to be seen.
That is, man, that is something as a Terran player,
that's beautiful.
You love. That's a beautiful thought. It's a beautiful thought, Roddy. Our first player spawning in the bottom left position. He defeated Jaedong, was knocked back down here by Hyun from Team Axiom Esports. It is Hart. And his opponent, and I don't think too many people saw this one coming when we looked at that lower match. Our blue Protoss player, the Chinese player representing Invictus Gaming, just defeating Jaedong after being knocked down by Hyun. It is Jim.
Now, of course, something we almost don't even have to say no more is that Jim loves his Colossus Phoenix build. Don't be surprised at all if Jim opens up with an Oracle this series and then just makes 5, 6, 7 Phoenixes and follows it up with a lot of Colossus. I must say though, I think that Jim is in general a little less stubborn than Maxit when it comes to making Storm. Even on land, they don't make a whole lot of Storm, and that's just for the simple fact that they feel that they had no practice with it. But I still remember this one game that we casted together off Maxit in the round of 16 last season. WCS America.
They were like, just research Storm.
Yeah, where Maxit is like playing a game on Youngster against a Terran player, and he's like 200, has 3,000 minerals, 2,000 gas, warps in 8 high Templars, but just morphs them all into Archons. He's just like, no Storm today. That game ended, needless to say, quite bad against a lot of Vikings and EMPs. We'll see. I think Jim is a little less stubborn than Maxit in that regard, but I'd be surprised to see him open up with Storm or just go Colossus Storm. I definitely think it's going to be the good old Phoenix stuff, and how well aware of that is Hart. I think Hart knows. I think Hart has been in WCS America long enough to be well aware of the style of Jim, but we'll see.
Yeah, I can't see any reason why not. And it can be, it can be a cumbersome style to play against when you are up against, Phoenix Colossus. If you don't have just enough Vikings to kill the Colossi, it puts you in an awkward spot. And then on the other hand, if you have too many and they don't completely commit, there's some weird stuff that can also happen there. This fast SCV scout goes straight to the natural to prevent a Nexus from being placed, as he has started his own command center and sent out that Reaper.
2 probes at the same time, furiously attacking this SCV, as Jim, of course, just wants to wipe in his Nexus, and he will succeed in doing so. That one Reaper is making his way across the map as his command center is going up in the natural, and we also see the reactor being added for Hart. Curious to see how many Rexes he will add. I actually think going a 3 Rex opening against someone like Jim is not too bad, but I think it's just going to be 2.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways people have been playing this out. We've seen an interesting amount of really fast engineering bays, although we've actually already passed the time where even that would normally happen. So 2 racks isn't bad. Blink has really fallen out of style, especially on these maps, and I don't think that Jim would be the player to try that against Hart. So you can usually get away with 2 barracks. He will go for a 3rd, so he just wants to have a lot of units to power out.
Which I don't really mind against a Stargate happy player like Jim. It's very possible that it is going to be a Stargate and that it is going to be an Oracle opening over here, as we do see the Stargate being wiped in for Jim. I mean, let's be honest, you would rather have a few too many Marines than a few too less when you have to worry about Oracles.
Oracles are that scary, for sure. And the Nexus is going to finish up.
What if Jim goes for top his build?
It's like these Chinese players work together so
Yeah.
much, and then yeah, the five Oracle
I mean,
death punch.
I'm pretty damn sure that Jim has watched those games between I mean, I would definitely watch my fellow Dutchies play. Like whenever Hearthstone or Grubby or Red plays in WCS Europe, I would always stay up to watch them play. You know, it's just something you do. You want to cheer for them. You want to be happy if they win. Especially if you're a pro player as well. A, you watch it because the guy that you're watching is the same race as you. B, you could be watching a potential opponent in the near future. And C, you know, you might just be friends with them, so you want to support your buddy. So I think he watched it, and maybe Jim was sitting there. He's like, this strategy of top, not bad. Should try it. We'll see.
I mean, you
So
see how
far.
it played out for him in the series. Well, let's see. The Reaper jumps into the main base. Some scouting information for a Heart he's going to finally grab, and, you know, it's always nice to see that Stargate. He sees it as also an Oracle in production. It's not just not a Phoenix. He's not doing anything super crazy. Immediately throws the engineering bay down as he has Combat Shield and Stim in production.
Yep, just a single Oracle for now, and after that Robo went down, unfortunately there's no hope of the top madness in this matchup. I'd be surprised if he doesn't make Phoenixes up, but something that Jim sometimes does as well is he drops a really quick Robo, then a quick Robo Bay, gets a Colossus, and then still goes into Phoenix production, instead of just making a lot of Phoenixes and then going into Colossus. This of course is a little more safe, as the Colossus is a better answer against Stim Bio than Phoenixes are. We'll see how this goes. So far there's not really anything that this Oracle can do, but we have seen in the past that Protoss players don't sweat it too much anymore. At the end of the day, Jim is still up 9 markets right now. Has been doing a good job in chrono boosting out as many probes as possible and being pretty damn safe.
Yeah, and you know, I have to completely agree with you on terms of the setup. The Robo Bay gets put, it's halfway done. Now the Phoenix production begins again. We saw just how much damage, even in the face of Photon Overcharge, Terran players like QXC are able to do if there's not a Colossus ready to defend. So it's a very smart decision, but this push is still coming, and you know that Robo Bay isn't finished quite yet, and the Colossus takes 75 in-game seconds to build.
Yeah, this 3x opening is scary. That's a lot of stint bio. Okay, this Oracle is going to fly in right now and realize that hey, units are leaving. So yes, this does mean that there's a little bit of room for this Oracle to be effective. Make sure you don't lose it, Jim, because you want to keep it around, even if it's just for Revelation later on. But this is quite a few Marines. How many Marines do we have? Almost 16. Actually, more than 20 Marines over here. 4 or 5 Marauders as well. Colossus just now being warped in. This is going to be tricky. Jim probably needs Time Warp and Photon Overcharge and good force fields.
Well, here he comes. Photon Overcharge gets activated. Shep's back kills a Zealot. Gonna snipe the Sentry with Guardian Shield. Probes being pulled against this as Time Warp is activated, and he's actually just focusing down the Nexus. He's gonna pick it off. These probes getting destroyed as well. He kills the Oracle that ran back to defend, and a fantastic push so far for our Terran player. He definitely got his money's worth for that bio.
Yeah, loving the 3-Rex openings, loving the pressure that the Terran players are doing, because a Protoss is not just supposed to be safe. If you open up with an Oracle, that's not really doing any damage. For the longest time it was, and you know, you have to respect Photon Overcharge, Nate, but you don't have to over-respect it. And that's what these Terran players are doing. Yes, they're losing a lot of units, but he picked off a couple of probes, 8 even in grand total, and above all right now, Jim not having this Nexus to mine from and also not having these simulators running, that is really going to slow down this whole Colossus Phoenix party.
Yeah, Phoenix builds so fast, man, and they're very, very expensive to constantly produce with Chrono Boost. Third base is on the way for our Terran player. Armory coming in as his +1 attack gets close. And you know what, Jim, he does not have a forge, he does not have any upgrades going, so this is a nice already position that's been just kind of building up in multiple ways for Heart.
A lot of scans going down. I'm not sure where the scans were going down. I heard them. I guess he wants to snipe off an observer or something. Either way, Hart has to be a tiny bit careful that he doesn't get too over-eager. You are right about these forges being late for Jim, but that's kind of part of his style. Because in this moment, he truly just relies on Colossus staying alive. And, you know, having armor upgrades or attack upgrades on your bio is nice and all, but if there are Colossus chipping away at them, these bio units will still die relatively damn quickly. So above all, it's for Jim right now, it's about keeping the Colossus alive and making sure that the Phoenixes shoot those Vikings down, because then the Colossus can take care of the rest. Of course, eventually he will get upgrades, but right now that's not his first priority.
Now, Phoenix are going to come over here and scout. They'll be able to see, of course, this third base setup. A couple of those Marines.
Bio units over here going to try to intercept the Phoenixes.
Oh, that would be pretty nice if we could grab at least 1 or 2 of them, and, well, just chips away at the health of one of them. Loses some health on his medevac. Relatively even trade, I guess, so just a few hit points. Vikings are being produced a second starport as well. The Colossi count getting close to about 4. Okay, just 3 actually. Now the 4th one on the way.
Hart also knows what is going on, realizes what he has to do to deal with this army composition that his Protoss opponent is heading for. He drops the 2nd starport. I actually would like to see him just drop a reactor. Okay, I guess this is a reactor from the factory. Would switch up with the starport. If he starts producing 4 Vikings at a time with the economy that he has, I think that Hart can just run in, right-click on those Vikings, you know, right-click on those Colossus, completely ignore the Phoenixes, and just go for it. Don't worry about those Phoenixes. Those Phoenixes will die against those Marines and Marauders that are left. Well, maybe not the Marauders, but definitely those Marines. And then the Vikings, as long as they take care of the Colossus, you'll be fine as a Terran player.
Yep. It's all about making sure the Colossi die, because everything else, I mean, Stin Marines are really good, especially with these upgrades. The Zealots are going to evaporate to this force.
Yeah.
So once the Colossi are down, that's the big opportunity to strike. Now, he's actually going to pop Guardian Shield here, force fields a few Marines out, and of course, these Phoenix can use their speed to chase, and he's going to take some hits on these Vikings, losing 2 of them so far.
And all Phoenixes are still alive. This is pretty intimidating right now, what Jim is going to throw at Hart. A couple of bunkers would be awesome for Hart, or even a missile turret or 2. Another leg spike is going to pop up for a Chinese Protoss player, Jim. But earlier today he had this happen as well. Back then he didn't disconnect, so fingers crossed, especially with the deciding phase of this game being this close. The game is live again. Let's go ahead and jump back into it. Right now, all that Hart needs is time, and he has 2 starports pumping with 4 Vikings at a time. All he has to do is just 4 Colossus. It's kind of scary, though, Nate. I mean, I know he has the upgrades.
There's only 6 Vikings for 4 Colossi. Yeah. Those Phoenix, they will destroy them so quickly. Even a few of those.
Maybe the Marauders though can actually be scary.
Yeah, he needs to get up close and personal. But the first time warp is dropped, Guardian Shield activated, giving a little bit more staying power. And the Phoenix are mostly dead, but these Colossi are dying so slowly. Can the Marauders get close? It's a good spread for Hart. He's going in with the Marauder snipes. 1 Colossus on the right side, only 2 remain. He's going for the 3rd, gets it. 1 last Colossus remains, and that spread from Hart was so damn good. GG is called. Hart takes game number 1 in this best of 3. Fantastic engagement. That is one of those situations where in Terran vs. Protoss, you normally don't win with those army compositions clashing, but it was all about that spread.
It definitely was, and those 2-1 Marauders definitely did help quite a bit as well. Those Protoss units, you know, it wasn't about the Zealots, it wasn't about the Stalkers, but they did die ridiculously quickly. Like, they died so quick that the Colossus actually had to start running almost immediately from these bio units. But I couldn't agree more. Beautiful positioning over there by Hart, having still a few Vikings left, and this is the moment where he starts splitting up his bio units. And the moment that Colossus start running back and the rest is just left for dead over there, you know, it's a really bad sign when you're playing this style from Jim.
Yeah, really well played by Hart. Absolutely fantastic position to take. He even pulled a few SCVs. He just wanted to make damn sure that there would be nothing to get in the way of him holding that push. And, you know, it's kind of crazy to think Jim still put up a pretty good fight. That's an army that you wouldn't expect to be ready to fight that early against a Terran player who killed, you know, good 10 probes, sniped your natural expansion, your mothership core. Hart did a lot of early damage, and Jim still kind of got a really nice setup anyway.
Yeah, he did, but I think he was also forced to go for this crazy 2-base push. Yeah. I don't think he wanted to do that in the start of the game. Normally, the way that Jim plays his matchup is he just sits back, and he shuts down attacks. Because if he gets a good setup with his army, if he gets Colossus and Phoenixes, the only thing that he wants is 10 players to attack into him, spreading his Colossus well, having overwhelming amount of Phoenixes, sniping down drops, and then later on getting his upgrades going. And then that's a pretty scary army. I don't think he wanted to attack. I just kind of felt like, hey, I have to because I'm getting outmined so badly right now. You know, soon my opponent is going to have 36 Vikings, and I'm sitting there with 10 Phoenixes, so this is a bad sign.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think if he had attacked from a different angle? Like, if you approach from the 3rd base, I feel like there's a lot less space to spread your bio army out. Maybe the Colossi get better shots?
Yeah, definitely. I think they would get better shots, but it will also take a little bit longer because he's going to have to run down. And I feel that every second that would have gone by, 4 Vikings were spawning, you know. Then I felt that Jim is like, okay, my only chance to actually win this is right now. The Viking count is low. I'm not going to win this in a real game anymore. Too far behind economy, too far behind on upgrades. I'm going to have to do this. He tried, but didn't work.
All right, well, we're going to have to see if Jim can tie things up or if Hart is going to take a 2-0 in our final match. You guys can see the games loaded up behind us. We've got our Protoss players spawning in the bottom left. We're in blue. Invictus Gaming took a lot of damage early on. Was forced to make an attack that did not quite work out for him. It is Jim. put up a fight, but man, you know, that Oracle also did not do anything for him. And his Terran opponent in the top right from Axiom Esports, it is Hart.
Hart has played a fantastic day of StarCraft. I'm a little bit torn over here because I love Jim and I think he's a very fun Protoss player to watch in general. And I think it's particularly fun when he makes the trip over for the round of 16. Him and Maxed are great guys to hang out with. Even though they don't speak English during interviews, but behind the scenes they will always try to communicate with you, and they use Edison. And then there's really fun and good people, and it's cool as well to see Chinese players making deep runs. But I feel that Hart has played a phenomenal day of StarCraft. Has really impressed me more than like a player has surprised me in a while when I just started casting a group, which I didn't expect. So I'm completely okay with either result, and so are you. And may the best player win, Nate. Jim is awesome, Invictus Gaming is awesome, but Hart has played his heart out.
Yes.
So funny, so funny.
Well, we're gonna have a Reaper opening from Hart as this probe begins to scoot its way across the map. And when you look at this match overall, though, do you think this you like this map a bit more for the style that Jim likes?
Yeah, I can see it work. I actually think Overgrowth is not a bad map for that style either. But I just think, I don't know, like this style, it works, it doesn't work, it's hard to say, but I think overall it's not fantastic. Like if it was that fantastic, let's be honest, guys like Rain, Parting, Zest, they'd be opening like that too. I think it's something that's okay as well to bust out as a surprise. It can catch your opponent off guard, you know, if he suddenly flies in with an opening that deals no damage, or if he's not ready for your Stargate play, you catch him off guard, then it's all fun and games. But if it's so predictable, I'm having a hard time that you can believing that you can defeat players like Hart or Tasia, which has happened in the past, with a style like that. It's too predictable and too easy to counter. Even though it's still very hard. I mean, like if you face this on land and you play against Jim, you're gonna be like, what the hell, Protoss is so strong, how do I deal with this?
It can be really, I was gonna say myself, like it's one of those strategies where you know what to do, but if you mess up versus it.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't agree more. I know that it can be a devastating start to fate. However, Jim does have a couple of other builds ready as well. I would just love to see in the future maybe see him open up with a different build, and then in game 2, you know, try to bust out a build like that, like a strat like that. Because it's a bad sign when I'm calling the strat and, you know, I'm nowhere near as good or smart as Hart. So if I'm expecting it, then Hart is probably expecting it as well.
Yeah, that Reaper went around, just dancing a little
Very
bit.
quick engineering bay over here. That's super quick +1.
Yeah, this is what I kind of mentioned this in the last bet. This has also become incredibly popular. I remember, like, they did flashes, like, something like X year anniversary for Pro League, and he busted this build out for the first time versus Rain. And we've seen it a few times, but more and more, we've been seeing a lot of other Terran players start this. I think I saw Bunny pull this out a few times in Fragbite. Like, more and more people are starting to move this into their play. And that really fast +1 attack is nice when you're playing against an opponent that could go for Forges, or at the very least, if you want to have a strong attack with Stim.
However, this Reaper is still lurking in the bottom of this corner. I was kind of expecting this as well, because Jim has done this in the past, where he really surprised me. It could be a Dark Shrine opening, but I actually think it's just going to be Blink Stalker, especially with these 2 Stalkers that he has on the way already. This Reaper is still chilling over here, like nothing to see here. But if that Reaper is going to go in and spot this Blink, that is pretty bad news as well for Hart. And Jim is going to be very sad when he just sees this Reaper in the back of his mineral line. He's like, hey, wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, do you think scouting it this early, if he can kill that Reaper, he might go for a Dark Shrine instead?
I wouldn't be surprised to see Jim do that, because he's definitely capable of doing stuff like that, but I also think that Hart should always at least have a missile turret, especially because he has the engineering bay already, because he's researching +1. So, you know, why not throw up a missile turret? It's 75 minerals, and you'll be safe against that little trick as well.
Fair enough. Extra gateways on the way for Jim. And this +1. So it's interesting. Normally, this you would not have this upgrade in time for such an attack as Blink. Gives him a little bit more staying power as far as pushing those Stalkers away. If you time your blinks, it can be a bit harder since there's extra damage coming in. The first probe that tries to place a pylon on Hart's side of the map completely shut down.
Loving it already by Hart, sending out an SUV over here on the north side, checking everything, leaving a Marine here as well. You know, if that pylon would have gone down, then maybe this blink attack still hits super quick, but I feel that Hart already has all the pieces in the right place. He is just playing some really good, solid StarCraft today, and it's going to be hard to catch him off guard. Even the series that he lost against Hyun, I think he played pretty damn well. Got a little bit unfortunate perhaps, but still a good series regardless. He played fantastic against Jaedong. And so far, it's been flawless against Jim as well.
Yep, its +1 attack's done. Probe comes up, places the pylon there. There is a bunker up front. Blink is close to completing, but you know, there's only 3 Stalkers here at the moment, and that SCV runs by a few more Stalkers headed towards his base in the midst of all of this. Immediately puts 2 Forges back home. I think he realizes he's not going to be able to crack this egg.
But this is so annoying as well, because this one SCV right now is already going to be able to identify that, hey, this guy, he's not going to go absolutely all out with his little blink attack. This is not 8 gate and just blink stalkers. Look at this, there are 2 forges over here. He identified the fact there was a robotics facility as well. So right now Hart is like, cool, I'm going to salvage my bunkers, I'm going to drop refineries. Whatever soft contain that Jim had in mind is not going to work either. Look at this. I feel right now that that's a desperate sign. When you see a warp prism, a dark shrine and 2 forges and a robo base, like, let's get all the tech on 2 bases.
Well,
might as well fire up charge 2 while you're at it.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
I don't think I can't see it, but
take a 3rd base as well.
Yeah,
you know?
take a 3rd base and research charge, and drop a Templar Archives. You know,
why not?
0 units all the way. This is going to be really tough for Jim.
Yeah, holding this attack off. I mean, the mothership core, let's see, has enough energy for 2 photon overcharges, or, you know, photon overcharge and a time warp. So it looks like it's a good defensive setup. This warp prism really needs to be that MVP that we joke about.
I don't think he's the real MVP.
No. Will it be the Dark Templar if he gets in and gets the kills, though?
If the Dark Templar snipes the missile turret and forces the orbital command to lift up and then stays below it and kills all the SFVs, then he's the real MVP, Nate.
Okay. Kills the Observer, not bad.
No, that's actually not bad for Jim either, because that's 1 less scan to worry about.
Fair enough. He does have a missile turret in his natural, though.
Yeah. Which is kind of what we were talking about as well. Like, you should do that when you know there is a Templar Archives, a Twilight Council on the map, excuse me.
It's never a bad idea.
No, it's such a small investment. A Protoss play that opens up with a lot of Blink Stalkers definitely wants to do something with it. If he doesn't, well, then he's going to sit on 2 bases for the longest amount of time.
So 2 Dark Templar in this Warp Prism being brought over towards the natural. And that +1 armor, actually, without any upgrades, the Dark Templar doesn't even one-shot SCVs.
That's terrible. Poor DT. Bad luck, Brian.
Oh, man. Well, he gets into the main base, but even delaying this missile turret becomes a lot more difficult.
Yeah, look at these. This is the most unaffected.
He's like a dog chasing cars, man.
Oh, poor DTs. I actually feel bad for the DT. This guy's like, I was destined for greatness.
It's like, but I saw this other game where DTs did all this damage. He's like, nope, not today, man.
He's been training all his life to be a... at least he's killing Marines still. That's nice.
You got something.
Oh, +1 just finished off, I guess. I was like, otherwise, this doesn't make any sense. Why is he not killing SCVs, but he... Or why is he killing Marines but not SCVs?
I'd say there's very few times where I would have thought that you'd want to wait for +1 attack before you
with a
your
DT
DTs
drop. Yeah, today we learned the +1 DT timing drop. It is an important asset of this matchup as well. Either way, what these DTs did do though, all jokes aside, they did buy a little bit of time. That 3rd base is going up. There are 2 Colossus out on the map right now. +2 is on the way. You know, forced out a couple of defensive scans, bought a little bit of time. I still really like Hart's position, but there is hope on the horizon for Jim.
Now, this is a pretty scary army that Hart has on the map, but, you know, 2 Colossi already out. Colossus range is still a little ways off, and the 3rd Colossus as well. Templar Archives.
Yeah, that's really cool. So Jim showing us that eventually he wants to go into Storm, or maybe, or just at least Archons, but maybe Storm as well. Doesn't really have that 5th and 6th simulator yet, so it's going to be hard to pull it off. No charge on these Zealots, and I don't think he's going to get it anytime soon either, because he's already starving for gas with everything that he has been doing. As scan goes down, Hart sees like, I need a few more Vikings to run into that.
Yeah. Stims off a few units to the right side. It looks like he wants to take advantage of that 3rd base position by hitting from the high ground. It's something that we often talk about, one of the weaknesses of taking this as your 3rd base. Another Warp Prism is also being built, but you know, that 2-2 is actually finishing up, and Hart does not have either of his +2 upgrades.
Jim is a little bit out of position for this army. Now maybe at the same time Hart is going to try to make something happen in the natural. In the end, the pylon fell. Jim is getting really paranoid, doesn't really have the map vision that he was looking for. Actually doesn't see anything. He lost his observers to all the scans of Hart, so he just doesn't see anything right now. Even a Ghost Academy going down. I think if Jim knew about this, he would fire up another Robo and just pump out Colossus. He's like, cool, I can just make Colossus. Doesn't have double starport yet.
That Warp Prism's going to be making its way off. I think he might have spotted it. These Marines are going to try to chase it. Nope, never mind.
No, those were just coming home. The coming home Marines. 2 Ghosts on the production tab right now for Hart. Hart with just +2 attack, +1 armor. So for the first time in this series, Jim has an upgrade advantage. You know, that double forge and that DT shrine, well, we kind of joked about it, but in the end it has all worked out. Jim has somehow bought time for himself. We have all these High Templars over here. Are these just for Archons, or are we going to see some Storms as well?
The mass feedback build. Who knows? There it is, Storm.
Whoa, okay, Jim has stepped up his game, that's cool. 4 more gates on the way as well. Still a terrifying army. But the Viking, okay, Viking House actually a 10, so nothing to worry about. Jim has an upgrade advantage. These Zealots come in at a pretty good time. Again, it's going to buy time for Jim, and time is definitely what he needs with these upgrades on the production tab, also important. Even though we don't have that many Zealots, well actually 16 Zealots, it's reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good number of workers killed. That Warp Prism is still there to send more and more in. I think he saw there was no, there was a missile turret, so you can't send anything like DTs in there.
This really was a true went behind the Dark Shrine build, because the Dark Shrine actually did really bring him back into this game. And the work is being even pulled as well for Hart. This is still going to be really hard for Jim to defend. I think if Jim knew about this, he would cancel 3-3 immediately. Storm is about to finish up, though. Storm will be ready in 10 seconds, and he has way more Storm than he has ever had in his life, I think. His time warp gonna go down.
EMPs hit the army. Storm just about to finish. The Templar are not in position, though, and already losing all of his Colossi in the Mothership Core. There's the Storms, though, hitting from the third base, really digging into this army.
He has 5 more Storms. I actually think that Jim can hold this. He has the Zealots, he has the upgrade advantage, and he has 5 more Storms, maybe some feedbacks as well. Even if this is a feedback party, I wouldn't mind it. Go for it. There we do see those feedbacks land. More Storms landing on the bio.
Some absolutely phenomenal Storms coming out of Jim, pushing Hart out of his third base, man. He sends Hart into cardiac arrest. We're going to game 3.
He even killed his third commentator during all that. Jim, with an almost funny comeback, just doing everything that he possibly can on 2 bases, is going to push this series to game 3, like you said. Wow, I really thought after that opening, after those, you know, after those Blink Stalkers and just nothing worked, and the way that Hart has been playing, that it was going to be really tough for Jim to make this work. Then we had an unfortunate 0-0 Dark Templar not being able to kill any workers, but he still did it. He bought the time for himself that he needed.
He was the real MVP.
Yes, in the long run, maybe those DTs were the real MVPs of that game, and that Warp Prism as well. Man. And that Storm, man, Jim with 8 High Templars. How cool is this?
You know, as a Terran, I've lost more than enough games to this type of stuff, but this was beautiful to see. He lost every unit except those Templar, basically, that could stop this army, and he got everything. Everything. That was beautiful.
It was a true massacre, and that wasn't even everything. It was only like 3 High Templars. Now he sends in the other 5. And he's like, cool, more Storms. Everything's spread out. Well, cool, feedback party. He just did it all. Really well done. Awesome to see Jim switching things up, researching Storm. This is the first time ever that I've casted a game of either Jim or Maxet and they got Storm. I'm not even kidding.
That was awesome. That was an awesome game to get Storm in, guys. And that means we have 1 map left to decide who goes on and who goes home. In WCS America Premier League, we are loaded in to merry-go-round, and in the bottom position we have our red Terran player. Got destroyed by those Storms. Representing Axiom Esports, it is Hart. Man, this guy, our Protoss player, you could not, if a Storm came 5 seconds later, goodness knows what might have happened in that game. Representing Invictus Gaming, it is Jim.
Or like we have seen in the past many times, if Storm wouldn't have came at all. Like if those were Archons, then It
GG.
doesn't matter anything. Those Augurs will run in and they will get evaporated by that bio. Man, Jim is just awesome to watch.
I'm
I
still
can't believe that
speechless.
I can't believe he just opened up with a lot of Blink Stalkers, then dropped a Robo, double Forge, and went Dark Templar, and made a Warp Prism, and made Colossus, and went up to 3 bases. Then also got charged, got 2-2, fired up 3-3, and got Storm. And he made it work.
He just went for the everything after that blink didn't damage him.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. Oh, big game for both of these players. Like I said before, I think they're both amazing characters, and it will be fun to welcome one or the other to the round of 16 here in southern sunny California, because that is of course what these players are playing for. There's at least $1,000 on the line just for this match, as the winner will get a guaranteed amount of $3,000 and also 100 additional WCS points, which are very important, especially if you just have 1 or 2 deep runs within your WCS region. You can make it to BlizzCon, which of course extra money by then as well. Even though that's not announced yet, but we've seen it in the past. So.
Yeah. Reaper on the way. Jim's probe got reasonable bit of scouting information. There's nothing really to worry about on his end as Heart's SCV meanders on over towards Jim's base. And he won't really see anything too crazy either. Just one gas opening from Jim yet again.
Yeah, I'm expecting just a standard 1 gate fastman over here. Behind that, I am not sure. This is merry-go-round. We've spoken about this many times. These sort of force fields among the space areas of this game makes it very hard to do anything with air units. Once they go in, they can't really go anywhere. So, will Hart be able to block the Nexus? No, he won't. I don't know. I don't think he's going to open up with Blink Stalkers. I don't think this is a great map for it. And even though you could say, like, last game it didn't work that well and he still got away with it. I think it was a one-time thing. Jim in general likes to switch things up a little bit. Like, he has a vast set of strategies that he likes to go for, and most of the time he chooses one of them. I wouldn't be surprised to see this being another Stargate map, but we'll see.
Yep, wouldn't be too surprised at all. Reaper is just chilling in his base. I like that he waits for the Reaper. Hart kind of recognizes that if his opponent doesn't do anything really crazy, that his SCV wouldn't scout, his tech is probably going to be a little bit after the normal time where you would try to push that Reaper out of your base. So by just putting it somewhere where it's not really encroaching on his territory while still being able to run around later, he gets himself a later scout almost guaranteed. And there's that quick +1 attack again.
Yep, that as well, and also a super quick robotics facility over here by Jim. Or saying super quick is maybe slightly exaggerated, but it's pretty damn quick for this matchup. He only got a single Stalker in the Mothership Core, and then he already warped in his robotics facility. I've seen Jim make some crazy Immortal Sentry pushes in this matchup as well. I'm not even kidding, guys. He has done that, and he has done it successfully. It looked pretty good. We'll see. It's hard to say right now. I wouldn't be shocked if he decides to go for it, but maybe it's just a standard Colossus opening and I'm seeing ghosts and everything.
Yeah, who knows? This is still a lot of options available for both of them as we move in towards that mid-game stage. Hart, do you think we're going to see another one of those big bio pushes if he doesn't have to be contained at all?
It's only 2 Rex this time though, so and especially after what he scouts right now, he doesn't scout a Stargate. Above all, he doesn't see an Oracle lurking around that's not going to deal any damage at all. So we will see. An Observer is the start over here for Jim. He's going to have to wait right now to do anything with this robotics facility because pylons are just halfway done. But he's not dropping a Robobait just yet. I think he's going to fire up an Immortal, Nate.
That would be pretty interesting to see. There are a few builds.
He's going to do the same build as he did against Jadam on this map. It's going to work again.
You know, that's actually one of those, that's one of those things that as a Terran player, you really don't ever expect to see. And then it hits you like a train. And it can actually work pretty damn well.
So far, it's pretty the same though. Like, he's only on 2 assimilators. He is going to go a few sentries, then he opened up with the Observer, fired up an Immortal. He's probably going to fire up the second Immortal immediately.
Oh my god. So is Jim's secret to PvT now that Hart would not have studied the game versus Jadon? He's like, oh, well, why would I watch him play at PvZ? Because he's not going to do the same builds. Well,
Hart is probably going to throw down a scan over here to pick up this Observer. He's clicking, he's... Where did it go? Whoa, nope. That even juked me. I was like, where did it go? Okay, he's going to find it in the long run, though.
Okay, so this is still kind of interesting. He's going to kill this, but hey, force fields versus Terran, they're a lot more difficult to make work, especially since Stimpack is going to be done soon as well. And he's still adding on a little bit more infrastructure.
Gonna go for it. Despite
He'd already moved out of his base against Jadong with this before, so...
This is really important though. Hart again finds the probe, he finds the pylon. I don't think he's gonna be able to cancel the pylon. Yeah, I guess Jadong already moved out, but it's still very, very similar. It's pretty much the same push. It's gonna hit slightly before Medivacs. Hart is doing such a good job all day long in like identifying things in time and reacting to it properly immediately. But let's not forget, Immortals, they kind of laugh at Bonkers. Force fields are going to be important, but we don't have, I won't say we don't have that many force fields, but considering the fact we have 5 sentries determines that is a lie. We have quite a few force fields to work with. We do see an extra assimilator go down and one more scan goes down. It would be really funny if he just abandoned the submission right now. So, okay, Hart. That was such a good scout by Hart, because if he's not ready for this can catch him off guard, he can lose.
He just stimmed his Marines inside of the bunker as well. Some stim sounds.
Yeah, I heard it too.
He's getting ready.
I mean, you get, maybe there were decent Marines.
Yeah, those ones.
Either way, he's getting 2 medevacts, and that is super important. Jim's gonna go for it though. Guardian shield being popped, force fields going down. There's a lot of damage output in his army.
Time warp on the bunker as well. SCVs repairing the one on the left. Kind of getting a little bit of surface area on the right bunker, but both of them will be taken down. The 3 Immortals still alive. Mothership Core picked off. The Zealot shield is gone, and these Marines are stimming forward again and again and again. There's still quite a few shields left on some of those Immortals. Another big warping of Stalkers and Zealots are going to try to overpower this first Immortal.
This
might
can
go
work.
down.
This can really work. If Marauders are falling, Hart is going to evacuate the low ground over here. He's going to lose a few more SCVs. Is he going to lose his orbital command? If I was Jim right now, I'd warp in sentries, get him contained. Because if you just kill, if you keep him on one base for a while, like he has a follow-up plan at home, he has extra assimilators, he's going to warp in Zealots. He can also just straight up win the game over here. These Immortals laugh at Marauders. Here we go again.
Coming up that main ramp, SCV's trying to help block as well, targeting down a few of these front Stalkers, but now the Zealots get into the mix. SCV's not so strong versus those, and he cleans up a large part of this meat shield, but more and more being warped in by Jim. Of course, still getting those other units back home, replacing his Mothership Core, defensive sentries, adding on 2 forges, and he's going to pack up and go home.
I can't blame him for it. He's up 20 workers. Normally being up 20 workers against the Terran is really awesome. But there is still a problem. Jim's army right now, this is absolutely the worst army that one could possibly imagine to defend drops with, right? Like, nothing over here is good to defend drops. There is slow units everywhere. There is no blink. There's no blink in sight. There isn't even a photon overcharge. There's no cannon in either base. And we have a single observer. So even though Jim is in a really good position, and I'm not going to say that he's not, double orbital makes it still very doable for Hart. And I also think it's very doable for Hart to start dealing damage with drops. Because, you know, I hate having this army composition that Jim currently has to deal with stimmed bio and medevacts. It's, you know, it's borderline impossible, at least for your average proto player, not to take damage.
Yeah, it's still a really good army for sure that Hart has, and his +2 attack is on the way. Might even finish close to around the same time that the +1 armor finishes up. So he'll maintain a very minor upgrade advantage throughout this, I don't know to call it early mid-game stage.
It's actually not even that minor. Like, he's gonna get +2 against +1 armor. That's really good for a Terran.
Yeah.
Like, a Terran having an upgrade advantage is always massive because it's not supposed to happen.
No.
Big drop unloading over here. And once again, guys, there are a lot of units out of position, which you can't fault Jim for. He does have quite a few Stalkers. This is a risky drop for Hart. With Tournament live on the line, he is going to stim. He's going to rip through these Stalkers immediately, but the reinforcements will come. Hart's going to have to pick up eventually. Like, he can't win the game with this drop, right?
No, he killed a lot of the Stalkers. He's going to pull back. Photon Overcharge is activated as well, and just takes out as many units as he can before abandoning this position. Still has a very healthy number of medevacs, 6 on the map in total. Really needs to crank out those Vikings, however, as we do have a Colossus on the map. Second one on the way. No Colossus range yet, though.
But what I'm thinking about right now, Nate, is if Jim decides to try to win this game on 2 bases, Hart is going to drop him, and we're going to look at we will be looking at a base trade scenario. But as far as I know, there is no place on this map where buildings can hide that they won't be attacked by Stalkers.
Yeah, it's actually a good point.
Right? Or am I crazy? No, like...
You mean in the back area there?
No, Stalkers, if you have a Stalker here, you have a Stalker here, you can always shoot at it. I mean, I'm thinking about a base trade. It doesn't have to be a base trade scenario at all, but it is possible, so... Just thinking ahead of the situation. What a tense game over here for our final game of the day. WCS America Group E. This was labeled as the group of death by many. I kind of thought that Hyun and Jadong were the big favorites, but Jadong already being eliminated, and now Jim pushing hard to the limit as well. These 2 guys fighting for it. Want to get that ticket to Southern California. So much on the line. I believe that Hart can still do this. He's obviously down in workers, which is a bad sign, 14 workers, but I've seen crazier comebacks.
Yep.
And Hart has played some fantastic StarCraft all day, and I think he's capable of doing it.
Yeah, definitely. Marines are going to stem 8. Marines want to deny this Nexus if possible, and he's already chewing through all of the shields. It's getting quite low. That army is way too out of position. He has to cancel.
Yep. Zealot being picked off in the middle of the map as well. Even that Fine is going to be picked off. A few more probes as well, and Hart is going to pick it up again. Jim just has nothing that is good against drops. He also didn't have the observers out. He needed Colossus in a straight up engagement against that Stim Bio. So it's not like he could just pump out or crank out 2, 3, 4 observers. Has very little map vision, as we're following him right now, just sees almost nothing. He's playing a blind game, and playing blind against Terran is a nightmare.
Yes, it is +1 weapons to finish up for those Vikings, as a hallucinated Phoenix Scout is picked up. +1 attack finishing up for Jim as well. Keep in mind, of course, that +2 attack still giving a bit of an edge as far as fighting gateway units goes for Hart. But Colossus range is actually just about to finish. It feels kind of late considering there's already 3 of them on the map, but you know, it's always nice to get.
Yeah, I guess he was a little poor perhaps on 2 bases, trying to get so many things at once. At least he has +2 armor on the way as well, so if that finishes up, they will be even in upgrades, and that is not too bad. Jim expanding right now towards Hart. Jim's still up in supply. I wouldn't be too sure about it if I was the Protoss player. I don't think Jim is too sure about it either. He probably still realized that this is very tense. The SCVs are being pulled as well. Nate, this is going to be it. This is going to be the final moment of Group E. Does he have the 8 Vikings against 4 Colossus? Should normally not work, but we do have a lot of Marines. We even have a few Ghosts in the mix. Army supply is relatively close. Well, one engagement is going to determine the outcome.
Yeah, Hallucinated Phoenix is going to look forward, gets picked off. Does he have enough retreat up that natural ramp? Perhaps. No, he's going to take the fight on the low ground. Guardian Shield is popped. First Colossus goes down. Time Warp holding this bio in place, and all of the Vikings being destroyed with still with 2 Colossi standing and those 3 Immortals to power against these Marauders. Will Jim finally be able to move on here? Hart is getting closer and closer. The final Colossus will topple. Is there enough Marauders left over? It seems that the Immortals being destroyed. Hart lands his Vikings. Has he done it? +2 armor is about to finish, but it's a bit too late, and he's chasing these Stalkers away. The third base still up and mining. Are there enough warp-ins for Jim to stop this? I don't think so.
It's 51 army supply against 18. There is still a lot of healing power on this army as well. Blink Stalkers cannot deal with Stim Marauders. Hart fell all the way down to 24 army supply, but I think we're going to see a crazy comeback over here. A lot of Blink Stalkers being wiped in, but that is not the unit that... No, that's the forward blink into the Stim Marauders. You can't do that, Jim.
Hart's looking to go on to the round of 16, and so he shall. GG is called, and we have a Terran moving on to the round of 16 after a fantastic back-and-forth series between Jim and Hart. Man, what a series to end the day with.
Wow, that Hart was able to pull back this game. Jim made a comeback in game 2, but Hart made the comeback when it mattered in game 3. I don't even know what to say. Like, with 10 Vikings against 4 Colossus, normally that's not good enough. Normally you need a little bit more. He landed good EMPs. He took down the Colossus in time. I still didn't think it was going to work, but somehow it worked.
I think it comes down again, like that upgrade advantage he has. All the units that run forward die so fast. And, you know, he does kill off the majority of the Vikings, but as you can see, when he kills and there's only 2 Colossi left, most of the Zealots are already gone, so he can step forward, pick off the Immortals, and then use a little bit of bio to assist the 1 or 2 Vikings necessary to get rid of all that AoE damage. And from that point on, since he already killed the Immortals, it's just an easy cleanup. And wow, what a fantastic engagement for Hart. I really feel like at the very start of that fight, I was wondering if it's a situation where when you see those SCVs, do you think Jim maybe could have pulled up into his natural?
Yeah. No, absolutely. No doubt about it. He had a lot of things going for himself. And now looking at that fight again, there were a lot of Stalkers. And Stalkers can be good, you know, if you're really like relying on your Colossus to survive. But you need something to soak up the damage of those Marauders. Whether it's Zealots or, you know, you drop some Force Pills. But you need something. If you just have all those Stalkers standing there in a row, or in one line, they're going to take a lot of damage and they will die very quickly against Tim Marauder. So I guess that's where it kind of went wrong for Jim. But still, a miraculous comeback for Hart. I do agree with you, you know, just sit in your natural, just wait it out a little bit. At least wait until +2 armor finishes up. And yeah, you might lose your third Nexus, but the other guy is going to mine out his 2 bases as well. He doesn't have a third command center, so you were doing fine. But I mean, it's very easy to say. It's a lot harder to make those snap calls. And Jim wasn't on the money with this one. Either way, it was a really entertaining series. And of course, congratulations to Hart for qualifying for the round of 16 once more. Second season in a row. That's also impressive.
Yeah, really nice play. Another one of our Terran players moving on, as we've had a pretty even so far racial distribution moving forward, haven't we? I think so.
Well,
I think
Protoss is falling behind a little bit over here, Nate. I don't know which racial distribution you're talking about, but as far as I know, my green brothers are not very well represented on Liquipedia right now. But we can actually just take a look. But first, let's take a look at all of the results today. If you just tuned in and you're wondering, what did I miss? Who beat who? Well, let's just take a look at that graphic, and then we will see that it was a day of upsets and a lot of surprising results, but above all, an entertaining day of StarCraft.
Yeah, we've had some really cool games so far today. I think a lot of people a little bit surprised, as you can see. Hyun, of course, as a probably one of the hottest players right now in the StarCraft scene, burned straight through his group, taking out Jim and Hart. We weren't sure how well Hart would perform, but taking out Jaedong definitely, I don't know if you could call it an upset, but it might have surprised a few people without seeing Hart too much lately.
I think that was an upset for sure. Jaedong just winning the Lone Star Clash Invitational, defeating Bolt in the final pretty convincingly. I definitely think that was an upset, and even the map that Hart lost, I felt he pulled off a couple of amazing tricks. And then we saw Hyun defeat Hart, which wasn't easy for Hyun either. He dropped the first map, but then he still won the series. We saw Jim surprisingly, but with some interesting builds, or at least like able to adapt on the fly to what he saw, defeat Jaedong in the loser series. And then we just saw a final series of the day. So let's take a look at all the 32 players. Let's see who's left. We have 3 more groups to play after today. And for the first time in WCS America, both players from Premier League of Season 1 advanced.
Could be the end of a trend, of course. A lot of good players we've seen make it through so far, and Hyun, as the reigning champion, not surprised to see him squeeze out of this one.
No. Overall, as you guys can see, a few Protoss players did make it, as Oz, and I believe we have one more, right? Oz and Big Baby did manage to qualify, but just 2 Protoss so far. Other than that, plenty of Zergs and Terrans, but maybe next week, because we have 3 more groups to play. Those will be played Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm definitely looking forward to our next group. Look at those names. We have Tutming, the god Roach around, even though Ian gave him a run for his money. We have Alicia, a very exciting Protoss player. And of course, we have our very own Chris Illusion. Lee, I believe it is.
Yep.
And we also have Hendra List, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, the following days, we have some more amazing players in store for you guys. That's almost all, Nate, but that's not all just yet.
No, there's more. I feel like we've had a really awesome setup so far for everything here. Really appreciate also all the tweets you guys have been throwing in, saying everything, checking out what's going on with us. I think it's always cool to hear what you guys have to say about everything that's going on, your thoughts on the matches and whatnot. Do you have a favorite series from today, Roddy?
Probably Hard against Jaedong. It was just so... I love being generally surprised about what I see, and in general, watching StarCraft is, 99 out of 100 times it's just fun. You see players, and if it's a stomp one way or the other, you're still impressed. But I was just so surprised by how well Hart was playing. I did not expect that, especially not after that hot victory of Jaedong. Of course, there is more StarCraft action than just America, though, even though we hope that you guys love the WCS America. But there is another cool broadcast coming up tomorrow morning as well, and that is going to be WCS Europe. We have MMA, Daishi, 4GG, and LiveZerg. I know I announced this yesterday already for this morning, and I said I was going to be there in chat, even on Twitter, and I was there, guys, but then I realized that it wasn't this morning, but it's tomorrow morning for us over here in California. Really cool group, MMA, fantastic Terran, Daishi, of course, a lovely French Zerg, also very good in the push-up contest, but did lose against Medalisk, and then 4GG and LiveZerg. Interesting group, and of course, we will be back next week with Alicia, Tutming, Illusion, and Hendrelist.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff going on, guys. And if you think you know who's going to win better than us, you can check out the ESL Fantasy League for WCS. Pick 2 players from each region. You can see who's going to make it, how far they'll go. Your points will be based off of their actual performance. And since we have a global ranking, you can taunt everybody with how smart you are of who you think's going to win. You can check it all out at fantasy.eslgaming.com/SC2. You can join the Todd bandwagon.
You can join the Todd bandwagon, or you can just copy Roddy's team. Roddy's team is pretty good. Told you before, for the people who missed it, I picked Bomber and Czech for America. I think both are going to go very far. And I got Snoot and Son in Europe. Sorry, Todd, but I wanted to get you twice. Otherwise, like, I just didn't feel right. But I could only pick one Todd, apparently. I was really sad about
If
this.
you can't go 2 Todds, don't go Todd at all.
Exactly. So, Todd, I hope you show up soon with 2 passenger seats. Otherwise, I won't even pick you up over here. Todd is coming to America in the near future as well, and that's going to be awesome. Not too chaos, at least. Maybe I can't really talk about this, but it's year one. And he's always welcome at my place. He knows it. That's why I can tease him in the broadcast.
All right. Well, we had a lot of fantastic games so far. I'm super excited for next week's matches. Get to see one of our players did so well last season. Pulp, lots of other good players, and our last couple of American heroes.
Yep, it's been another long day of StarCraft, or 3 shorter than the previous days, but still a lot of action. Hopefully you guys enjoy the broadcast. Once again, you guys can always follow us at @ESLTV and @StarCraft, and of course keep the tweets coming. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys had a good time watching StarCraft today. We're going to take a few days off, and we'll be back next week with some more WCS America Premier League action. See you guys, and have a lovely evening.